enough, it's not a question of if there'll be a serious outbreak in the U.S., but more a matter of when. Turn is how does a world frozen by fear get people to come out of their home and go to work?
Well, I'm here to tell you that I went to work this past week, as I'm guessing y'all did too. And for me, it started out on my knees, tearing out a floor. She said, "Tear my floor out if you think you can do it." And I was like, yeah, I think I can do it. And she said, "I've got some new peel and stick tiles for you to install." And she was pretty excited about those. So I was like, yeah, no problem. And I set to tearing. Now the top layer of her floor was the last course of peel and stick tiles, you know, like the ones the last guy put down. And then beneath that was some vinyl. Now, have y'all used this liquilock stuff yet? I'm telling you, it's really good for gelling up that toilet water so it doesn't spill everywhere when you pull a toilet. It's also pretty good for stiffening up your raw paleo smoothies.
A few moments later.
Now, on this day, I think I was pretty much out there facing some old demons, and one of them was the demon who decided it was a good idea, like a reasonable thing to do, to caulk, to like put a bead of caulk around the base of a toilet. And this has just become such a pet peeve of mine. I cannot even tell you. I mean, for me, the idea of trapping leaky toilet water back under the toilet just is antithetical to everything you should be doing. If that toilet seal is leaking, gosh dang it, let it flow so you can fix it. The other thing I gotta tell you, since I'm here, is that I've got some really good recipes involving recycled toilet seal wax. If you want them, I got them. It's also really good on dry skin, chapped lips, all that kind of stuff. This is natural beeswax. Why let it go to waste? I mean, it's resilient stuff and in limited supply now that the global insect populations are plummeting and all that. All right, more good news is that my new GoPro 8 camera, a little camera I carry around with me every day, it's just totally screwing up and doing these fast forward segments on its own once in a while. So I didn't get audio on that, vacuuming and stuff, but suffice it to say I did clean that floor like crazy before I put down the peel and stick tiles. Now, if you really want to indulge your deep yearning for precision, let me recommend some peel and stick tiles with a pattern for you. I'm telling you, man, lining those things up, getting them all square and everything, it will satisfy you, frustrate you, and just kind of bring you to a new place. And if that's what you need, I would recommend it. I really would. And not quite the last thing to do in the bathroom, but next to last was to sink the toilet and squish that new wax ring down. After that, I put a new piece of trim around the outside to get rid of that kind of scuzzy looking stuff you see. And with the trim installed and the floor down and all the plumbing work and everything, that bathroom was reborn in a kind of small way.
Wheat at 36.6% and soybeans at 7.9%.
All right, next job was sort of continuation of one you've seen before. I have been working on this garage job kind of on and off the last couple weeks, and I had replaced some siding, but next up the door needed to go. Man, that old door was just shot. Now that is a fucked up door. It's got the squirrel access down here, but the whole thing is also just sagged, just totally sagging down. Over time. I mean, you could fix a door like this if you totally took it apart and re-glued it, but I'm just going to replace it. And here's a look at the jamb. Not too bad. The actual framing looks really good and solid. It's just this inner piece here that's kind of trash, so I'll pull that out. All right, that's better. We got the tight fit on top and all the way around. First thing I'll do is pre-drill in through my blocks to get a good solid connection. Pre-drill and put screws in, but loose, so you can still shim. Then I'll run my shims, get it all level and plumb and everything, and then I'll tighten up the screws. And to drill the holes, I've just got my recessed drill bit so that the screws lay nice and flat. You know, there's a lot of talk about composite shims versus wood shims. But in this situation, I use the wood shim. They're not under compression like they would be under a sill plate or something. So I use the wood shim just because it kind of matches the materials and is easier to cut off. All right, so it's shimmed up and screwed, and then I'm just checking for the fit, and it's still really nice. Pre-hung doors almost always are. It's all plumb and true and everything, so I'm just gonna trim off my shims. It's like kind of good. I think it'll be all right. All right, so I strapped the door to the roof of the truck, to the rack up there, and I guess I was being cavalier. I thought it was fine, but anyway, I just got home and the door was not there. So threw the dogs in the truck, and we're gonna see if we can find it. Yeah, look for the door. Okay, we just found it. All right, now you don't need to tell me that was irresponsible, stupid, reckless, careless, and just plain dumb to lose that door driving down the road, but at least I cleaned it up. I left no trace in the end, and all's well that ends well. All right, so I just got a couple drywall repairs to do. You know, some cracks, top of the doorway kind of stuff. Then there's one more over here, same kind of deal, just settling or expansion contraction issue. Cracked here and over here. I think I'll probably just patch it over into this area. That's kind of interesting. This has been patched before. You can see there is fiberglass tape in there. So it's kind of been an issue. I think what I'll do is use paper tape to cover that over and see if we get any more progress.
Lady, what do you think about this? It's pretty good, right? It's pretty good, it's pretty good.
This is a 20-minute mud, so I can't really dally too much. Got to get it on there, get the tape in place, and Alright, another simple one. This is like a floorboard that just slides. I'm just going to dab the slightest bit of glue in there, and I think it'll stick together. This is just another quickie. These are just a couple of cherry boxes. They're just kind of loose and used at the side of the bed as like a side table. And I'm just going to put some screws in from the bottom. This is 1.5 inches, so I'll use an 1.25 inch screw. Oh, you do a good job.
You did a good job. You did a good job.
This is like 20 minutes later. Some of the thick spots are still wet, so I'm going to give it a little more time. As you can probably tell, this was one of those show up at the house and just do all kinds of different jobs. You know, they had a big old list. And one of the things on the list was to replace the sun that had fallen down out front. And sure enough, there was a big old sun laying there next to the garage. I just screwed up over the door. I also installed some low voltage lights so that they could see the sidewalk when they walk around at night, and then got that drywall sanded. Now, after that, I just went back to my place and got my truck stuck. Just totally stuck in the mud. I was hauling some stuff. It was pathetic. I spent most of the afternoon and into the evening coming up with every different cockamamie scheme to pull it out. It was just a reminder of probably what you're thinking, which is that I need an actual winch on my truck to get myself out of a jam like this one. Instead, I was using a come along, which, you know, like every 30-40 minutes, you can move it like 12 inches or so. I was using the come along for a while. That didn't really work. I also set up a whole system of snatch blocks, and that was okay. But anyway, in the end, I didn't even get footage of it, but you'll see in the bitter end, in the middle of the night, I ended up getting that thing out with just buckets of gravel from the barn, and the ground kind of getting more solid on me just because it was getting down to freezing. Completely internet-based solution to this problem. I've got the 2x4's got, I think, enough clearance back there, and I've got them on all four wheels and pretty much cranked down. Front's definitely have more clearance than the backs, so I'm just going to check them out. It's probably going to do some permanent damage to the truck, but we'll see. This back is where it's just so bogged down. So bogged down. All right, here we go. Oh, trash the straps too. You know, sometimes the internet is just so weak. This cargo strap's just tore up so quickly. This one's still good. That one ripped out.
The government is taking the virus seriously, though critics still say the response was too long in coming and too mild.
All right, I've got a fence to go build, but you're gonna see that in the next episode of the Handyman Diaries, because this one's over. And I have said it before, but it bears repeating. This is not necessarily an account of like how to do it. It's just a story of how I did it. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you in the next one.